Looks like we've got quite a few people here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to the UC Irvine Division of Continuing Education. My name is Kathy Tam. I work here in our corporate education department in marketing and engagement with our corporate clients. And I want to thank all of you for supporting our Ideas That Inspire series. So many of you have been joining us and continuing to join us. And we're so excited that you're really going to have a special experience today with our guest, Benan. He's going to talk today about perception and the power of thought. But before I get started, I just want to do a couple of housekeeping items just real quick before we hand it over to Benan to get started. As you know, our webinars are recorded. So we will be sending that recording out about 7 days after this. There's closed captioning available. Towards the end of the presentation, we will have a little bit of time for chatting and for Q&A. So I'll notify you when the time is appropriate. You can go ahead and put your comments in the chat or in the Q&A. And just a little bit about the University of California, Irvine. If you are new to us, we are a massive public research university. We're one of 10 UC campuses. On our campus, we have over 36,000 students, and we're one of Orange County's largest employers. We're ranked 8th as the best universities in the US News and World Report. If you've not had an experience yet with the Division of Continuing Education, we offer certificate programs and very career-focused, job-related programs to help you with career mobility and work-ready skills. All of our instructors are practicing experts in their field. Some of our really popular programs are project management, paralegal, contract management. Most of our programs are offered online with synchronous sessions with your instructors. We also have custom corporate training available. So that's our department here. So we basically handle two sides of the house in terms of talent development. You can see our team here. We're very well skilled in going into corporations and developing exclusive training. So we deliver training to organizations in several different formats, workshops. Sometimes it's a series based on a topic, and sometimes it's a full program like project management. We also have a partnership program that is offered to corporations that are interested in giving their staff access to continuing education courses and programs. That's called Enterprise Partnership. And under that agreement, all of your staff would get 15% off our entire portfolio of courses, which is over 80 certificate programs. And then we also, something that's a little new to our department, we started offering programs on a consortium basis, meaning that we're bringing cohorts together from different corporations. Like, for example, we do that right now for project management. So the nice thing about a corporate consortium program is that learners from all different industries and companies can come together and learn a specific topic together and share ideas. And then the other thing that's not so new to our organization, but kind of new to our corporate team, is talent acquisition. We have a complete career advancement network. Now, for our corporate students, that's great because we have a career educator on staff named Amy Gleason. So if you're looking to navigate new roles at your current job, she is fantastic to talk to and help you reach those goals. For corporations that are also looking to the university for talent acquisition, we have a 1220 job board, so you can post your jobs there and recruit from our DCE students, so our certificate learners. And then we also have a full-time position here, Jay, and she handles our non-paid internships. So we have a program where we can place interns at your corporations at several different times of the year. So that's kind of a wrap up of our team. So if you are in need of custom training or talent acquisition services, you can always give me a call or send me an email, and I'd be happy to connect you with the right person on our team so that we can help and be of service to your organization. So let's talk about Benan. I met Benan probably 6 months ago now. Benan is absolutely excellent. I met him through Taco Bell. He works in talent acquisition there. And during his professional time here, he's guided so many professionals to their dream jobs, but he experienced some issues with lower back pain, the thoughts of imposter syndrome and anxiety. And he thought, what can I do to help people that are dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with? So as part of his professional development and his career journey, he started a company called BeYu Wellness. So Benan's here with us today, and he's going to talk to us about perception and your mindset and how to change your mindset to really get to the point of positive thought so that you can move forward and be healthy and really live a clear, authentic life. So I'm going to stop screen sharing and I'm going to introduce Benan so that he can go ahead and share his brilliance with us today.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate the introduction. So I'll just share my screen real quick and let me know when you can see it, please.
Yep, Benan, we are.
All right, so hello and welcome. My name is Benan Yuceer, and I'm a certified holistic health coach and NLP practitioner. Today, my intention is to bring you a fresh perspective on the intricacies of the human mind. We have an action-packed agenda today, and first of all, we'll start with my story and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Then we'll delve into our first module, which is the art of perception, and we'll look into that through the NLP communication model. And we'll look into how perception influences our goals, decision-making, and also the quality of our lives. In the second module, we'll explore the concept, the power of thoughts. We'll discover how to challenge past beliefs, overcome victimization, and as a result, improve our confidence. So let's start with a little bit about me. This is my life in a nutshell. I was born in Berlin, Germany, and have lived in 3 continents and 10 different cities. Growing up, I wanted to be a professional athlete and started challenging myself in a variety of sports. As you can see on the screen, I've been involved in many different activities. However, the stars didn't align for a sports career, and I landed my first corporate job at Six Flags. So for the last 16 years, I've been deeply involved in talent acquisition and HR consulting functions. While helping others, as Katie mentioned, I struggled with lack of clarity and direction. I didn't know who I was, what I wanted from life, and where my life was going. My life had no purpose at that time. And as a result of this, I lost my savings, failed in relationships, and developed chronic anxiety. The problem was I created more uncertainty and fear than I could handle, and I had no idea how to navigate it. Eventually, I had enough and decided to take charge of my life. And in 2019, my midlife crisis made a peak, and I was going crazy to find my purpose. And I traveled to 7 countries around the world in solo trips. And my goal was to self-reflect on my experiences and identify patterns that made me me. Traveling helped me to create a blueprint of who I was, but there was still something missing. And at the same time, I invested in my education. I completed the Modern Leader certificate program at UCI that helped me to sharpen my leadership skills. Also, it was the year that I took my first NLP practitioner training. So this was a turning point in my life because NLP not only helped me to recover from my mental health, but also to find my purpose. Mindset became my new passion, and I started helping others to navigate life and manage stress better. During the pandemic, the number of people reaching out to me for support increased tremendously. And as a result, in 2022, I started BeYu Wellness to build health-conscious communities that live life with more confidence, joy, and fulfillment. I made it my life work to help busy professionals going through midlife crisis to achieve holistic health, discover their purpose, and live more authentically. BeYu for you became our mantra. All right, so this is enough about me. Let's dive into our content. So the art of perception, and I would like to start with defining the word perception. Perception is the way we interpret and understand the world around us based on sensory information received from our environment. We'll slice this information shortly and explain the perception process with examples. Let's start with a quick exercise. I would like you to take a note of 2 things. Now, when you look at the image on the right side of your screen, the first question is that I would like you to write down is, what do you see? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? And secondly, what emotion does it evoke in you? Please write your answers to both of those questions. And at the end of this webinar, you will receive a brief survey on which you can share your responses with me. So I'll give you a couple seconds to write down your answers. So in my previous trainings, I received quite different responses to the same question. The majority of people said that they see an OCD or perfectionist person on the screen. Another person said the image reminded him or made him feel so scared and threatened because it reminded him of a life-threatening memory when he choked on a paperclip when he was a kid. A woman commented on the nail polisher color. Quite different perception, right? Another one picked up on the serious face of the woman and concluded that she was either depressed or sad. So as you can see, the same image can evoke different memories, thoughts, or emotions within each of us. Sometimes we see one thing, but not everything. This is why it is important to be aware that not everyone sees the same things, even if we are looking at the same thing. Most of us have a tendency to assume that others perceive certain events the same way as we do and jump on a conclusion or judgment way too soon. This is the perfect storm for inviting misunderstandings, conflicts, and drama into our lives. And that's why we are going to go over the details of perception in a moment. I told you that I'm an NLP practitioner, but some of you might not be familiar with the term NLP. So let's start with explaining what NLP stands for. It is an acronym that stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. In other words, neuro stands for thoughts, linguistic stands for language, and programming stands for actions. So NLP is about understanding how your thoughts, language, and actions are connected. With changing your thoughts, you can change your language and actions. So for example, if you consider your physical body as a supercomputer, NLP is the software that runs the computer. In the NLP concept, the way your mind operates is so critical that it impacts the quality of your emotions, decisions, and eventually the quality of your life. The good news is that you can always upgrade or optimize your mind's operating system at any given time. Now, let's explain how the software works. What you see on the screen is the NLP communication model that was developed by two psychologists in 1988. So it's been around for a while. And the NLP communication model will help you to understand why you do the things you do. So let's explore how it works. We'll start from the box that says external events. When we are awake and not sleeping, 2 million bits of information is coming into our awareness every second. We receive this information through our 5 senses. We see, hear, smell, feel, or taste. Sometimes 2 of them are happening together. But our brain doesn't have the ability to take in 2 million bits of information. That's too much information to process. And it can only process 126 bits per second at a time. That's why our brain uses filters to break down incoming data to digestible chunks. Our brain categorizes incoming data in 3 ways that you can see on the screen here. It is to generalize, distort, and delete. Let's say you and your friend go to the same party and you end up having completely different opinions, memories, concepts, or likes and dislikes about the same event. This happens when your brain uses different filters. Now, let's explain these 3 filters one by one with examples, starting with generalized. Let's say you went on a first date with someone who lives in Newport Beach. You happen to find this person to be arrogant and snobbish. It's very unlikely, but let's say hypothetically. Then you date the second person from Newport Beach and have another unpleasant experience. Your brain automatically jumps to conclusion that all people living in Newport Beach are not a good match for you. Can you see how this generalized belief can impact your future dating life? It can lead to many missed opportunities. Now, let's look into the second filter, which is distort. Imagine you have this limiting belief that you are not good enough. One day, you receive a compliment on your presentation at work, and instead of accepting the compliment literally, your brain distorts the meaning by thinking, they're just saying this to be nice to me. They probably didn't mean it. This distortion changes the perception of the feedback, potentially impacting your self-esteem and ability to acknowledge your achievements. Now, let's look into the third filter, delete. Let's say you are shopping for a new car and your first choice is a red Tesla Model X. When you're in traffic, without consciously paying attention, all you will notice will be red Tesla Model X's, because your brain will prioritize what you're emotionally charged with and delete the rest of the information. This is also called selective attention. Now, what do you think determines which filter your mind is going to pick at any given time? It's through the meta programs, also known as the unconscious mind, that has direct impact on our perception. I'll explain the inner works of the unconscious mind in a minute. For now, let's continue with the process. So, after the information is filtered and our mind breaks down the information into digestible chunks, as a result of this, we create a movie in our mind with our 5 senses. We attach the feelings, not the feelings, the smell, the look, the feeling of different items, and this is actually the idea that you see in your mind. It is the internal representation. Then, automatically, this movie leads us to a state which influences our mood and emotions. That mood and emotion then leads us to a physiology, which is how we hold our body. For example, when you perceive stress, you will shrug your shoulders, or when you feel embarrassed, you will start blushing on your cheeks. The outcome of this process is your behavior. As you can see, our behavior is shaped directly by our perception. To understand why you behave the way you behave, we'll dig into the human mind now. And we'll explore the human mind in 2 aspects. In the Freudian concepts, you might also see subconscious mind or higher consciousness. But today we'll only focus on 2 concepts, which is the conscious and the unconscious mind. Let's start with the conscious mind. According to neuroscientists, the conscious mind has only 10% influence on your behavior, whereas the unconscious mind has 90% influence on everything you do. The conscious mind is the one that operates willpower, short-term memory, logical and critical thinking, and also you set your goals with your conscious mind. Now, your conscious mind sometimes thinks that it's in charge, but 90% of the time, you do what your unconscious mind dictates you. Many people live in the illusion that they have control over their lives. The reality is, they are living under the influence of their unconscious mind. Let's give an example to how your unconscious mind rules you. Let's say you are commuting to work and you decide to take a phone call on the way. Before you even realize, you arrive at your destination and then wonder, how did I get here? Without being consciously aware of it, you stop by at red lights, passed on green, and use your blinker while turning. So the unconscious mind is your autopilot. And living in autopilot is not a bad thing, actually. It becomes a bad thing when your autopilot doesn't serve your goals and your values. When this happens, it can lead to tension and chronic stress eventually. And when you think about it, life is too short to live in misery. Now, I would like you to think about your heartbeat for a moment, your respiration system, or your digestion. Do you consciously send a message to your heart every time it should beat? Or do you give orders to your gut to start the digestion process just because you feel bloated at a moment? The answer is no. Your unconscious mind takes care of it. It technically runs your body. The unconscious mind has many other responsibilities, such as storing your beliefs, your emotions, your habits, your thoughts, and long-term memories. These filters are unique to you, and that's why your experience in this world is also unique. It's in essence who you are. At BeYu Wellness, when we say be you, we refer to the unconscious mind and help you to get to discover it. Now, let's talk about decision making and how we are making choices. And I would like you to start with a question, actually. Do you remember a time when you knew it was not a smart choice, but you did it anyways? This is a very common challenge. Everyone knows that an apple is a healthier snack over a donut. But when given the choice, majority of people still choose the donut, knowing it's bad for their health. Why do you think this is happening? Your conscious mind, which represents the logic center and willpower, tells you to pick the apple. But if you still pick the donut, that shows that there is misalignment between your conscious and unconscious minds. The unconscious mind might pick up on a limiting belief or experience from the past that doesn't serve you anymore and can influence you to make poor decisions. So willpower has no strength over the unconscious mind. That's how powerful the unconscious mind is. The unconscious mind will start recording your memories since the day you were born, but you can only remember when your consciousness started developing, which usually happens around the age of 3. For example, one of my clients had a fear of heights and he tried many ways to overcome it. When we started working together, he couldn't explain why he was scared of heights. I asked him to talk to his parents and write down every incident that happened to him before the age of 3. The answer was hidden in his notes. We discovered that he fell from his cradle when he was 6 months old, and although he doesn't have a clear memory of the incident, his unconscious mind didn't forget about that fearful experience. And we worked on rewiring his thoughts and about that incident, and 2 months later, he sent me this video of him cliff jumping at Corona del Mar. All he needed to do is to reframe his thoughts about his childhood experience. Now, this is important. Learning is an unconscious action. Our brain records everything that it sees, hears, smells, feels, and tastes. The unconscious mind doesn't understand time or space, so it records everything as if it's happening now. Your unconscious mind works throughout the day when you are both awake and asleep, but it takes over entirely when you sleep. So if you happen to have weird dreams at certain nights, that's a reflection of your unconscious mind. I used to have lots of interesting dreams, but lately it's very much stabilized. So if you're interested in understanding yourself, your unconscious mind is the place to explore. Now, let's talk about goals and find out why most goals fail. According to a study by Ohio State University, 23% of Americans quit their New Year's resolution by the end of first week. And 43%, which is the majority, quit by the end of January. Only 9% of people complete the resolutions. So the question becomes, what do these 9% of people do differently than the rest of the participants? Do you think they rely on willpower? Let's find out. Let's explain how you can achieve your goals with the NLP perspective. We set our goals with our conscious mind. While the conscious mind is the goal setter, the unconscious mind is the goal getter. Here's an example. Let's say you want to lose weight and sign up for a gym membership. You set your goal with your conscious mind. In the beginning, your motivation and willpower will help you to go to the gym, but these factors eventually will fade away. At that point, you rely on your unconscious mind, which is the goal getter. Remember, it's your autopilot and software that runs your mind. So if your unconscious mind has learned and adapted limiting beliefs, such as I'm not good enough or I don't deserve, it will reflect on your actions. You'll start feeling resistance and stress whenever you need to go to the gym. And as a result, you end up procrastinating and sabotage your success and true potential. So if you struggle with achieving your personal or professional goals, your unconscious mind might have a different agenda than your conscious mind. It's critical to align those two for achieving goals. Let's explain this with another example. Have you ever heard of an airplane not having a clear destination? At the airport, when you look at the departure screens, you see specific destinations for each flight. Airplanes do not change their course unless there's an emergency. Now, imagine a plane taking off from LAX, scheduled to arrive in New York City. If that plane were to operate like our unconscious mind and make a slight diversion, let's say 2%, it would easily end up in Washington, D.C. It's the same with our goals. If there is a slight misalignment between your conscious and unconscious mind, you will not see the results that you desire and face completely different outcomes. So if you want to be among the 9% of Americans who achieve their New Year's resolutions, it's essential to train your unconscious mind. We'll talk about how you can train your unconscious mind in the next section. The power of thoughts. This is one of my favorite topics. So in this section, we'll explore how our thoughts create limiting beliefs and a state of victimhood, and most importantly, how to break free from it. To understand the power of thoughts, let's look into the process step by step. In the NLP communication model, we have explored that the meta programs, also known as the unconscious mind, impacts our perception. So this is our programming. Through our perception, we create our thoughts. When we have a positive perception, we'll create a positive thought, and vice versa. Then we attach a feeling or emotion to those thoughts. Based on the triggered emotions, we either take action or take no action. And that brings us to a specific outcome or result. Now we'll explain this with many examples. I love this quote by Buddha, by the way. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. This message, the message of this quote also applies to your physical health. Western medicine seems to ignore the mind-body connection. They are good at treating acute injuries, but when it comes to treating chronic diseases, they're not so successful. The reason is Western medicine doesn't focus on the root cause of the disease. They train doctors to treat the symptoms. In fact, most diseases start in the mind. We create diseases with our minds. According to the CDC, most common chronic diseases are caused by tobacco use, poor nutrition, lack of exercise, and excessive alcohol consumption. This is very surface level advice. Nobody questions why these people have a poor diet or lifestyle in the first place. The root cause of chronic diseases is an accumulation of thoughts and emotions that are left untreated. Let me explain this with an example. Not too long ago, my health revealed me a new lesson. For the first time in my life, my skin broke out. Within less than 48 hours, the rash covered all of my body, and I ended up in the emergency room. Although it was quite scary in the beginning, I wanted to do an experiment to prove that the power of thought concept actually works. So for the first 6 months, I visited 11 separate doctors, including dermatologists, immunologists, and I did this not only in the United States. I traveled to Turkey, to Belarus, and also saw doctors in those countries. And none of them could identify the root cause or the reason of my skin outbreak. I explored solutions by both Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine. I was on steroid shots and antihistamine pills for 6 months, and the rash didn't seem to disappear. During this time, what bothered me the most was the side effects of the allergy pills, which caused brain fog and sleepiness. As someone who coaches mindset, I lost my clarity and focus over time. After 6 months of giving modern medicine a chance, I decided to seek solution within. Since I was documenting the journey from the very beginning, it was not too difficult to identify the root cause. All I had to do was to travel back in time. When the rash started, we had an ongoing noise issue with our upstairs neighbors for over a year. We had several complaints to the leasing office, to the police department, but they didn't do anything about our complaints, which left me with low vibrations such as frustration, anger, and irritation. Then we moved out of the apartment complex, but the rash still hasn't disappeared because all those low vibration emotions were recorded by my unconscious mind. Remember, the unconscious mind operates the long-term memory and learns through repetition. In summary, my thoughts manifested themselves in the form of hives, also known as urticaria. In Latin, urticaria means to burn. Scientifically, anger creates heat in the body. Irritation creates itchiness. Can you see the connection between the thoughts, the emotions, and how it reflects on the body? So for the last 2 months, I've been focusing on retraining my unconscious mind to calm down the rashes. Today, my skin is 99% cleared. And I said 99% because I still get mild rashes occasionally when my unconscious mind picks up on something. But it's nothing like it was 3-4 months ago. So I'm a living example of how perception and the power of thoughts can change your reality and contribute to your healing. Now, let's look where limiting beliefs come from. You can resemble the unconscious mind to a cassette tape. If we have any Gen Zs in our audience, they might be trying to figure out what a cassette tape is. So if you're a Gen Z, you can think of it similar to a cloud storage or a hard drive. It's similar to the black box in the airplanes. So throughout your life, this cassette tape is recording everything you experience and stores your long-term memory. It doesn't just store your memories, it also plays them back to you. Especially when you're in a life-threatening situation, your life will flash before your eyes. It's a common theme that's used in movies and cartoons. I hope you don't have to experience this in person like I did, but if you happen to do it, you'll see your unconscious mind coming to life. So let's explore where limiting beliefs come from. These recordings that I mentioned earlier are shaped by several factors. So earlier childhood experiences such as abuse, neglect, criticism can plant the seed for a limiting belief. Family patterns. This is a very common one. You can inherit limiting beliefs from your parents. For example, if your parents believe that money is evil, you'll have a tendency to struggle with handling your money. Your cultural conditioning, you can think of traditions and religion with this that follow dogmatic methodologies. Your school district will determine your mental curriculum. Depending on where you live, your local and federal government imposes their ideology on you. You can observe this more intensively during the election season. Social media is known for making you feel less by comparing your life with others. So these factors have a direct impact on your mental conditioning. Now, let's explore some of the most common limiting beliefs. I will never afford a house in Southern California. If only I was taller. I'm not flexible enough to start yoga. I can't do that. I cannot forgive others. I hate my body image. You know, you see where it goes. I'm too old to go to school or start a business. These are all examples of limiting beliefs. Now, let's explore how you can challenge past beliefs and the system. First, you need to acknowledge that. What can be learned can also be unlearned. That's the beauty of the human mind. Limiting beliefs reside in our unconscious mind. And unless we challenge and reframe them, they are barriers to our higher potential and become part of our identity. To challenge past beliefs, there are 3 steps that I use in my coaching practice. And the first one is self-awareness. The first step is to become self-aware of what your limiting beliefs are and recognizing patterns. There are several self-awareness tools and assessments on the internet. And if you're interested in the tools that I use, you can scan the link on the screen to request access to my library. You can also request feedback from your friends, family, and coworkers. They will also provide you valuable insights. Now, the second step is journaling. Let's say you want to work on overcoming perfectionism. So the first thing that you want to do is to write down every moment when you feel overwhelmed because of your high self-imposed standards. Then trace back where this belief about perfection is coming from. Was it a competition within your siblings, or did your parents set really high standards on you? Let's find out. And then the next step is describe what feelings this emotion evokes in you. You can use the Wheel of Emotions chart that you see on the screen. And if you would like to download it, you can also access it through my library, through the QR code. And the last step in this journaling process is that once you identify the feeling, rate the intensity of the emotion on a scale 1 out of 10. So this exercise will also offer you the framework to improve your emotional intelligence. Now, till here, you have identified the limiting belief and the emotion that's attached to it. Now, it's time to reframe that belief with affirmations, which is the third step. Remember, the unconscious mind learns through repetition. You have to create and repeat affirmations on a daily basis. It will create new recordings, neural links, and change your story over time. The best time to do this is just before you wake up and you are in that half dream, half sleep state, or just before falling asleep. That's the time when your brain is operating in theta waves, which is the brain frequency to remove emotional trauma and heal the unconscious mind. I'll share how you can create affirmations in the next few minutes. So let's look into how to overcome victimization. Victimhood is a fear-based state. And what happens when you feel scared? Most people seek comfort and relief in external sources because it's easy to point fingers and blame others. This way, they think they can offload the responsibility off their shoulders. But always remember, when you are pointing your finger at someone, you have got 3 fingers pointing back at yourself because the solution is always within you. To overcome victimization and live more empowered, there is a simple formula, and it's on your screen. Create support, support create. In this concept, you are the creator of your own life. We create our reality with our thoughts, and our thoughts will always find support. Let's explain this with an example. During the pandemic, my wife and I were both working from home, and we were hearing each other's work meetings occasionally. And she had a coworker, and I kept him hearing saying, "I'll get fired, I'll get fired." He kept saying this all the time. I told my wife, he's creating his reality with his words, and he'll eventually get fired. We started a friendly competition within our family by betting when he is going to get fired. I gave him 6 months, and my wife didn't actually care about timing because she wanted to get him fired immediately. So after 8 months or so, he found support to his creation and he got himself fired. So your creation is always going to find support. The unconscious mind works with this formula. It cannot distinguish whether your thoughts are real or fake. It will record everything what it hears. So when you're consciously creating a thought, be mindful of what you're creating, because you will always find support in your creation. Another way to overcome victimization is to accept that you always have a choice. For some individuals, this idea of having a choice might be a limiting belief, either because of their upbringing or social conditioning. To break free from this idea, you would do a QDR, which stands for Quick, Displace, Replace. This is a concept introduced by Ernest Holmes in the early 2000s. Do you remember, I told you that I'm going to share the formula for affirmations. So here it is. This is a formula that consists of words to retrain your unconscious mind. For example, if you're working on overcoming the limiting belief of feeling stuck in life, you would start saying the displacement, I'm experiencing, knowing, and acknowledging that I always have a choice, and I am what I choose to become. Then, immediately after that, you add the replacement part, which is, I love myself unconditionally. In this formula, the replacement never changes. The only part you would change in this displacement is depending on the limiting belief you are working on. In the beginning, I would recommend to repeat this QDR or that formula minimum 5 times a day if you are working on a serious limiting belief. And after 2 weeks or so, your unconscious mind starts breaking down, and you would say it whenever you think you don't have a choice or feel stuck in life. Eventually, your unconscious mind will unlearn the feeling of being stuck and will support your new reality. So when you create something, everyone around you will have to support you. Remember, life is not happening to you. Life is happening for you because of you. You create your life and you get support for your creation. Create support, support creates. Once you understand that you're responsible for every decision you make, you'll start living more empowered. You might have heard this quote by Bruce Lee. He says, don't speak negatively about yourself, even as a joke. Your body doesn't know the difference. He refers to the unconscious mind when he says your body. Words are energy and cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Change the way you speak about yourself and you can change your life. What you are not changing, you are also choosing. Remember, the unconscious mind learns through repetitive action. When you keep saying, I'm not good enough all the time, your unconscious mind will record it and restrict your actions. And as a result, you will overshadow your success. That's why they say, tell me about your friend and I'll tell you who you are. You unconsciously pick up the realities of the people you hang out most with. So what happens if you listen to sad music all the time? You'll train your mind to feel sad and become a melancholic person eventually. What happens when you watch the same news on the same channel every day? You'll train your mind to adapt to a media company's opinions. Their reality will become yours and you'll polarize yourself. Remember, create support, support creates. Now, what happens when you scroll on social media on a daily basis? You'll start feeling less by comparing your life to other people that you follow. You'll start acting like them, thinking like them, and isolate yourself from your authentic self. The accounts you follow on social media have direct influence on your decisions and choices. And you have the choice of filtering what you want to consume. Now, how to live more authentically and with confidence? There are 3 concepts that I want to underline here. First, know yourself. Knowing yourself or knowing who you are means knowing your values, your superpowers, your passions, your needs, desires, triggers, goals, and your purpose. It's like having a user manual for yourself. Without knowing yourself, you'll lack sense of direction. It's like a leaf being swept by wherever the wind is blowing it. This is exactly how I felt before 2019. Second, love yourself. And you need to learn loving yourself unconditionally, which means you need to accept yourself as you are. Everyone thinks they love themselves. Nobody says, no, I don't agree with you. I don't love myself. But then you hear them saying, if I lost a few more pounds, I would be happier. Or I love myself, but I cannot stop caring about others. These are typical examples that you love yourself conditionally. On the other hand, when you accept yourself as you are and nurture self-love, you'll be able to get rid of the need of external validation. You'll start taking more ownership on your actions. You'll feel more empowered and self-confident. You'll prioritize better and make healthier choices. You see how much difference it makes? So now let's look into the third one. Be yourself. Being yourself means living the life that aligns with your values, needs, and desires. It gives you a sense of purpose and fulfillment, the feeling of being in your element. So to live life more authentically and boost your confidence, you need to know yourself, love yourself, and be yourself. This is the transformation that you can expect at BeYu Wellness. Now, we covered a lot, and now it's time to recap our concepts. Perception shapes our reality and quality of our lives. The conscious mind is the goal setter, and the unconscious mind is the goal getter. What is learned can also be unlearned. To challenge limiting beliefs, first, create self-awareness. Second, start journaling. Third, reframe your thoughts with affirmations. The magic formula to overcome victimization is create support, support create. Use QDRs to challenge limiting beliefs and train your unconscious mind. The path for authentic living and boosting your confidence can be achieved by knowing yourself, loving yourself, and being yourself. With that, I would like to leave you with a question for thought. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? It's a powerful question, isn't it? Would you continue to do what you are doing today, or would you dare to explore new avenues? I'll leave you with this thought. Your untapped potential is ready and waiting. Each day, you hold the power to shift your perception and transform your dreams into reality. And with that, I would like to thank you, all of you, for your interest and curiosity. You have just progressed another step in your personal development journey. This webinar is just the tip of the mindset iceberg. And if you would like to dive deeper and get more personalized guidance, let's connect and explore how I can support you in your health goals. You can use the QR code on the screen to connect with me on LinkedIn and search for BeYu Wellness Tech on social media for wellness reminders. And before we move into the Q&A session, there's a special person whom we all owe a big thank you. She made this webinar a reality. She created and we supported her. And this person is Katie Tam. Katie, thank you so much for allowing and giving me the opportunity to present for all these beautiful people today.
Oh my goodness, Benan, that was an incredible presentation. I know you walked me through some of it verbally, but to see you present it, I mean, I have loads of notes, and I'm sure so many people have questions here. And I want to make sure we get to those. But so before I make any comments, we do have a question coming, Benan. I know you did talk about journaling as part of maybe like a practice that people can start to help them with mindset, but we had a participant ask if there's any exercises that somebody can practice that you could recommend.
Exercises for journaling?
Yeah, maybe I think it was kind of in addition to journaling. Are there any practices that people can start, is it writing? Is it journaling? Is it getting out into the open?
Yeah, it's a great question. So depending on the purpose of journaling, so for example, if you are working on getting rid of or overcoming bloating, you might want to write down the foods that you eat every day and track what type of foods you're eating in the morning, at lunch, for snack, for dinner, and then create a trace, like create a pattern and look into patterns over time. If you're working on something like pain management, for example, you can track the pain by writing down everything related with the pain. You don't need to write down every single thing for journals. It depends on your goal and your intention. So whatever your main purpose is that you're trying to achieve, just observe the areas of your life that are related to your goal. So that's probably what I could share as a recommendation for journaling.
That's awesome. Does anybody else have, oh, look, we've got some stuff here. Let me go ahead and read a comment. Julian, I'm so glad you're here. You're so supportive in our Ideas That Inspire series. So Julian says, Benan, my wife and I have been journaling over the past couple of years on what we are grateful for. It definitely shifts our focus from negative thinking to realize what amazing things we have happening in our lives.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. That goes to everything that you talked about. I do have one person here with a hand raised. I can't see the first name, but I'm going to go ahead and I know the last name is Schmidt. I'm going to go ahead and allow you to talk. Do you want to unmute? Okay, well, maybe she or he jumped off. Does anybody else have any questions that you want to drop into the Q&A or into the chat? There's two things that I want to note. I will be sending out the recording to this. And I think I mentioned in the beginning, there's a couple things that will come with that. I will be sending you a survey because Benan would love to hear your comments about the thoughts he shared today and what you learned. So there'll be a survey going out. And then there'll also be a link to his newsletter. But you can also get to his newsletter link by the QR code. I don't want to put my slides up since he's got the QR code. So if you
this is my LinkedIn profile. So let me stop sharing my screen, and probably it would be better if you could share your screen, Katie.
Oops. Sorry, everybody. Let me share my screen here because I have the links to those on there. Share. Let's get down to our last slide here. Okay, there's the links to the survey is on the top. And then the newsletter is on the bottom, and I just jumped off of it. There you go. Okay, then, and we do have a couple things coming through. Okay, we have somebody asking, when is the best time to journal, in your opinion?
Journal doesn't have any specific time. Sometimes, when I'm journaling, I don't have the time. Like sometimes my days are too busy, but then at the end of the day, I self-reflect and then write my thoughts along the way. Sometimes I have the bandwidth to write at the moment when something happens and I realize it, and then I pull my phone and then use the application to put my notes down. So it's totally up to you, and don't put any stress that you need to record everything at the specific time it happens. Sometimes it's better to self-reflect at the end of the day. Sometimes it's better to write your thoughts or emotions in the moment. So I cannot really recommend a specific time. Whenever it feels comfortable to you, and journaling shouldn't be something like an extra burden to you. It is going to be something that will guide you for finding those patterns that you want to track and find out.
Well, and here's a similar follow-on question for you. Is there like a certain, when somebody's writing up their affirmations, is there like a certain timing for that? Is that best done in the morning so that you're setting an intention, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter too much, but for effectiveness, the best time to repeat your affirmations is the moment that you wake up. It's the state when you are half asleep, half awake. I mentioned this in the webinar a little bit. And then right before you go to sleep, because at this time, your brain waves start lowering itself down. And when it's in a certain state, which is the theta brainwave state, it is the state that you can really record new learnings to your unconscious mind. So that's when the unconscious mind records everything in its most effective way. Throughout the day, it will still keep recording, but the most effective day is either when you wake up early in the morning or at nighttime, just before going to sleep.
Okay. And then one more question, this journaling thing, I think you got everybody really excited, but and I can see in the chat, so many people are super excited to start their journey. Just one more thing about journaling. Does it matter if it's like, are you better off if you handwrite it or if you type it or record it? Like sometimes I type my gratitude list in my notes section on my phone, but then sometimes it depends on where I am. Sometimes I write my list of intentions down on my work pad that's always with me.
Yes, so there are certain studies around it. The short answer is it depends on how you feel comfortable about it. So it's, as I mentioned, it shouldn't be like a burden. For example, if you take your notes on a paper during daytime and then you need to transfer it to electronic documents, that's an extra step in the process. And that might be, deferring you from doing it on a regular basis. But, researchers say when you write down with your handwriting, it actually memorizes better, and it's better for training the unconscious mind. I keep my notes electronically because I can access them anytime I want, anywhere in the world. As long as I have my phone with me, they are there. But with paper, it has pros and cons. Sometimes you need to carry them with you, and it's totally up to the personal choice at that point. Okay.
Well, and you'll be excited to hear this. Somebody's already been to your website. So they're asking, so what about, we do have a couple minutes left here, Ben, and this is kind of a loaded question, but what about nutrition? Is there a nutrition thing at play here?
So nutrition is an outcome of the thoughts, the mindset. So everything starts with the mindset, actually. So our mindset dictates how we should be eating for ourselves. So if our mind, like our unconscious mind, is telling that I don't deserve all the time, you'll start eating foods that you don't deserve. Yes. Yeah. So, it starts with the mind. And, when you actually put your unconscious mind straightened up, it's never going to be 100%. But if you straighten it up to the way that it serves your goals, you'll start self-respecting yourself more. You'll start loving yourself more. And then when you have a choice of two items, you will say, I deserve the better one. And for my own respect, I'll choose the apple over the donut. So that's when your conscious and unconscious mind is aligned. But then it's just the opposite, or vice versa, when your unconscious mind is derailing your choices at that point.
Oh, I already derailed myself this morning. I'm sharing. I'm admitting.
It happens.
Okay, this is one more really important question, and we might run over just a second, but Ben and I really want to ask you this because this is important, because I struggled with this a little bit too, and it has nothing to do with the way you described it. But we have a person questioning about overcoming victimization like you talked about. So you mentioned creating support, which is clear to this guest. But remind us, what do you mean by support create, the opposite side of it? Can you just explain that one more time?
Sure. So creation is actually starting with a thought. Like we create a thought. It's just similar to the law of attraction, actually. We create a thought, and that thought, what we create, it's like a magnet. It pulls everything that it's creating. So it finds its support around it. And so, for example, if I create a thought that I'm not good enough, which is a victim state, right? I'll always think in a way, and I'll perceive people in a way that they are thinking that I'm not good enough. So you think in your perception that all the people around you think that you're not good enough. So your main idea that you created, your perception, is actually attracting all your rest of your thinking methodology and find support in a way with your original thought. So that's how the create, support, create actually works.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, everything that you said, I unfortunately do. Some of the positive things I do, but one of there's so much that you said that just resonates with me, but I had never read that Bruce Lee quote. That is amazing. That it really nicely summed up, you know, just the basic thoughts about this. So Ben, you're just getting so many great thoughts. I know you're not looking through the chat, but we've already got people that are friending you on LinkedIn and they're going to the website. So everybody, thank you so much for staying with us today and staying with a minute longer. I know everybody needs to get back to work on this Monday. Everybody just give a cheers to Benan for presenting today, but also he's celebrating 3 years as a talent acquisition leader at Taco Bell. So we're celebrating for him today. He's amazing. And we thank
you so
all
much, Katie.
so much for being here and supporting the Division of Continuing Education at UCI. All right, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.